A U.S. Navy destroyer was followed by a Chinese warship and several armed fishing boats as it asserted navigational rights in the South China Sea last week, according to a newly released satellite image. The aerial shot shared to X, formerly Twitter, on Tuesday by Vietnam-based maritime security researcher Duan Dang showed the U.S. buoy sailing past Taiwan-Held Aba in the contested Spratly Islands during its Freedom of Navigation operation, or FONOP. Close behind were 3 Chinese maritime militia vessels and at least 1 Chinese Navy ship. The satellite capture was but a snapshot of the long-running tension between Chinese and American forces operating in the South China Sea, as well as in the wider Indo-Pacific region, which the Biden administration says remains a priority theater in spite of the resources the United States has allocated to the Russia-Ukraine war in Europe and now the renewed Israel-Hamas conflict in the Middle East. The Navy's latest run-in with China's maritime forces was the subject of reports in Taiwan on Monday after Chinese-language newspaper United Daily News said the U.S. and Chinese ships were heard exchanging radio messages at the time of the FONOP, which Beijing didn't formally protest, presumably due to its lack of de facto control over Aba. However, the presence of Chinese ships near the island nonetheless suggested an attempt by China to assert sovereignty over it and, by extension, democratically govern Taiwan, which it claims as part of its territory despite Taipei's repeated rejections. The Japan-based U.S. 7th Fleet, which announced the RLA Burke-class destroyers FONOP last Friday, didn't return an emailed request to comment on the nature of any interactions between the Dewey and People's Liberation Army or Chinese maritime militia vessels, which the Taiwanese newspaper said were visible from Aba. The Navy didn't name the disputed Spratly Islands feature around which the Dewey's operation took place, but it still caused a stir in Taipei by challenging restrictions on innocent passage, which, according to international maritime law, meant that the U.S. warship had sailed through the territorial waters within 12 nautical miles of Aba. The People's Republic of China, Vietnam, and Taiwan each require either permission or advance notification before a military vessel or warship engages in innocent passage through their territorial sea, in violation of international law, the 7th Fleet said. The United States upholds freedom of navigation for all nations as a principle. As long as some countries continue to claim and assert limits on rights that exceed their authority under international law, the United States will continue to defend the rights and freedoms of the sea guaranteed to all, it added. Quizzed in Taiwan's parliament on Monday, Taipei's head of intelligence, Tsai Ming-yen, told opposition lawmakers on the island's Foreign and National Defense Committee that personnel on Aba had monitored all foreign ship movements. He repeatedly declined to confirm whether the American or Chinese vessels had entered the island's territorial sea. Located nearly 1,000 miles southwest of Taiwan, Aba, which Taipei calls Taiping Island, is the largest naturally occurring feature in the Spratly Islands, whose claimants also include China, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Brunei. The Taiwanese government also exercises control over Pratas Island or Dongsha, which is closer, about 280 miles southwest of Taiwan. While the Communist Party's designs on Taiwan proper remain the main focus of Taipei and Washington's collective defense preparations, Chinese warplanes have flown more than 4,600 sorties near the island since September 2020. The potential capture of outlying Taiwanese islands has long been posited as one possible scenario through which Beijing could coerce Taipei into surrendering political control. Taiwan maintains runways and ports on Aba and Pratas, but it has no intention of pursuing the type of island building and militarization undertaken by China, Xu Kuo-cheng, Taiwan's defense minister, said last year, citing the need to signal Taipei's desire for peace. The sentiment was echoed on Monday by Tsai, Taiwan's spy chief, who rejected a renewed call to station Taiwanese Marines on Aba, as it does on Pratas. Around 200 Taiwan Coast Guard personnel are stationed on Aba and receive regular training from the country's Marines, said Tsai, who later added that larger Coast Guard ships would resume patrols to the island in the near future. Any decision to put Taiwanese Marines on Aba would first require a holistic assessment of the regional situation, Tsai said. Actions will be considered based on the actual situation. If the circumstances are not right, any action we take might be seen from the outside as provoking regional tensions. This requires very careful assessment, he said.